Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Consistency Killed the Fat. Today I'm going to be giving you guys my top 12 weight loss tips that I found have helped me so far to lose 40 pounds and that will get me to my goal. Now, as I'm somebody who did used to weigh 250 pounds, these tips and tricks are more for people who have, a bigger amount of weight to lose, just because obviously you have to have a certain different mindset if your weight loss is going to take you a year, 2 years, to just being like 10 pounds. So yeah, they're going to be helpful for everyone, but that's from my perspective, which is of somebody who has 100 pounds to lose. The number one tip that I will say is count your calories, or in brackets, track your food. Now, counting calories is essential. It's what's going to get you results. If it's going to take you a year to lose your weight loss, you're going to need to see results pretty quickly. We've all been there. We've started a diet or whatever, and we haven't seen results straight away, and we've given up. So the great thing about calorie counting is it allows you to see results really quickly. What you don't count, you can't change. So when you're counting and tracking your food, you can also see which foods work, which foods don't work for you, what helps you to get to your goal quicker. So it's just a good idea to be paying attention, because we can often underestimate how much it is that we're actually eating. The first practical thing I would say when it comes to calorie counting is buy a food scale. Food scales are really cheap, they're easy to use. Once you get in the habit of using them, you just weigh stuff before you put it in the oven. I do. Generally, before I cook things, I weigh them, or depends on the food. Like rice, I'd weigh it after. Potatoes, I'd probably weigh it before I cook them. So yeah, it just depends on you, but find one that works for you, find one that you understand, and just use one. The next thing I would say to do is to download MyFitnessPal. It's a really good app. So easy to have it on your phone, just use it wherever you are. And obviously a lot of foods have the calories on the outside, so you can also use that. The next thing I would say when it comes to my first tip of calorie counting is try to focus on your health. Don't get too restrictive with your calories. Don't go to 900, 1200 calories. In my personal opinion, it's not sustainable. You're gonna be hungry, you're gonna binge. So I think calorie counting is great to keep you in that sweet spot where you're in a calorie deficit, but you're also getting enough food to sustain your body and to sustain the exercise that you're going to be doing. So that's why you need it for more precision. Stay focused on your health, guys. Stay focused on your wellness, but also get results. What we're trying to do here, guys, is get to a balance where we're not sacrificing our physical or mental health to get to our ideal weights. Tip number 2 is eat foods that you enjoy, okay? Losing weight takes time, so you want to be having a food plan that you enjoy, that you look forward to, because you need to be able to do it consistently enough for a long enough time to get to your goal. So if you're doing something that you hate, you're probably not going to do it for that long. You're going to want to fall off. You're going to want to binge, you're going to want to eat this, you're going to want to eat that. So allow yourself to have everything that you like to eat so that you can stay on it long enough to get to your goal. What a lot of people do is they force themselves, and I am a lot of people, by the way, but what a lot of people do is they force themselves into something that's really hard, really restrictive. They do it for a couple of weeks and they fall off, and they just continue that cycle for years and years and years. And just gain weight and gain weight and gain weight and never get to their goal. Why? Because they keep trying to pretend that they're not the bitch that they are. If you are a snacking ass bitch who likes chips and crisps, then bitch, continue to eat them, but just don't continue to eat them in the same volume. This also goes back to my first point of calorie counting, because calorie counting allows you to still have your pizza, to still have your crisps, to still have your chocolate, but in an amount, in a quantity that is still going to get you to your goals. It is essential to track your food and calorie count, because often the foods that we like are very calorie dense, and if we were to eat them in a more intuitive way, we're not going to get to our goals quick enough before the self-saboteur or the impatient bitch stops us and makes us go back to our old ways. The other thing when it comes to eating food that you enjoy, it should also be balanced. We're trying to eat a plant-centric diet, okay? I just made that up, okay? But you should try to eat fruits and vegetables every day. They're very, very good for you. You can, you're already on the internet, find out why, but you should be eating them. If there's fruits and vegetables that you don't like, but they're very good for you, try to like them, okay? Don't be childish. We need to like our fruits and vegetables. We need to eat our leafy greens. We need to have our berries. These are all really important parts of our diet. We want to balance those alongside the more processed or calorie dense foods that we also enjoy. My last tip in this section would be to read a book called Eat to Live by Joel Fuhrman. I think that's one of the best books to give you a really great overview on nutrition as a whole and on the effects of obesity on the body. Tip number 3. is to exercise at least 3 to 6 times a week. Now, I've committed to exercise 6 times a week. Right now in quarantine, I'm going for walks every single morning for a minimum of an hour, sometimes up to 3. I love long walks. I've always loved walks. So for me, it's not like a chore. But yeah, you need to find something that you like. So I would say find an exercise that you love. If it's not walking, maybe running, whatever it is that you like to do that. Because if you like it, again, following on from the theme from before, what you enjoy, you will employ. I just made that up right now. But like, you know, what you enjoy, you're going to keep doing because you like it. So find something that you like and stick to it and do it. Walking is something that I would recommend because it's low impact, or swimming, anything that's not too hard on the joints, which leads me to my next point. Do not train like a thin person. I know that as a little girl or as a young lady, being overweight, I kind of built up this habit of having a lot of shame around exercise. And so then when I went into gyms and slim trainers who have never been overweight were telling me to do things like box jumps and press ups, I was too scared. I was too embarrassed to say, actually, I can't do that, you know, but I was scared to come across lazy. But what I've learned in reality is that, you know, if you're 250 pounds, you don't need to be doing box jumps. You don't need to be doing things that your body can't handle. You don't want to bang out your fucking kneecaps doing something that's unnecessary. You can just do a squat normally. You don't have to jump and do a squat and fuck up your knees, you know? And a lot of these people that are telling us to do these exercises don't have the lived experience of being in a bigger body. So stand up for yourself, use your voice, raise your voice, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed, and just say, I can't do that, can you give me a modification? And that's perfectly fine. What we're trying to do is get to a goal of having healthy, fit bodies. We're not trying to beat ourselves into submission. We're not trying to bully our bodies. It's not The Biggest Fucking Loser where they're torturing people into doing all these exercises that are just not right for their body, where everyone's fucking up their ankles. You don't want that. There's definitely ways of getting to your goal without ruining your body. And there's also a level of respect that we need to have for our bodies, irregardless of their size, where we need to understand them and we need to listen to them. You know, if your wrists are hurting, if your knees are hurting when you're doing certain things, you can say. And you know, I really want to give you guys that extra push of empowerment to speak up for yourself and just say, no, I can't do that, give me something else. The next thing when it comes to exercise is make sure you're weight training or resistance training. Obviously at the moment everybody's at home, so it's a bit harder in terms of weight training because there's no gym. But you should be doing something to sort of weight train to keep that muscle tone, just because that's what's going to help you to get to that like nicer toned body. You're not going to end up with a bag of skin. Well, you might. You can't control how much skin you have, but to a certain extent you can. And so you want to control it as much as you can. You want to avoid it as much as you can because you want to love your body. You want to love how it looks. We've all heard that story where, you know, someone's lost a load of weight but they hate their body because they got this loose skin. And I feel like a lot of the time it's because they just did loads and loads of cardio and no weight training. They didn't do little things that could have helped their body along the way. Obviously you can't prevent it entirely, but there are things that you can do, and weight training is one of them. The last thing I say about exercise is track it. What you don't count, you can't change. When you track your exercise, you can look over it. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't lose as much this week. What's going on? And I can see, oh, okay, it's because I didn't walk as much. So then I'll just bear it in mind to walk a bit more. Now, you don't want to get obsessive about this. You just kind of want to keep it loose. You know, everything you want it to be loose. Don't get too about it, okay? Keep everything loose, relaxed. You will get to your goal. As long as you're doing all the right things, you're going to get there. You don't need to set yourself this, like, you know, crazy high target straight away. Just keep it chill. You'll get to your goal, okay? My fourth tip is drink water. I'm not going to say too much about this. You all know why you should drink your fucking water. Just drink water. Number 5 is weigh yourself consistently. Now, I weigh myself every morning. For me, that works. It keeps me accountable. It lets me see the little minute changes. It makes me feel better about like where I'm at every day. But I know that doesn't work for everybody. You might need to do it weekly, every 2 weeks, every month. Find what works for you and do that. This whole thing, weight loss, is about getting results. It's not about feelings. It's not about what you feel like. It's about what's actually happening. So I think that weighing yourself keeps you in reality, because a lot of the time, a lot of us can lie to ourselves about how much we're eating. I did that for ages. I'm like, I don't get why I'm so fat. Like, I barely eat. And I've always been someone who loves fruits and vegetables. So I was like, I don't get it. I'm so healthy. Why am I so fat? And it's like, well, because you're eating too many calories. You're not in a calorie deficit. And weighing myself and keeping track of that really helps me to stay focused. Number 6 is going to sound like shade, okay? But stay in reality, okay? At the moment, there's this really big thing, really big push towards health at every size and fat activism and all this other stuff that is conflating weight and health, or health and feelings. Being fat is not healthy. Being overweight is not healthy. Read up on the facts educate yourself. You know, being overweight shortens your lifespan. It opens you up to so many different long-term diseases. It's just not a good thing for your body. Your body's not designed to be overweight. It's just not a thing that is healthy. So don't allow people who are overweight in the health at every size movement to draw you into this kind of like circus where they're pretending that you can't tell if someone's healthy by looking at them when they're 500 pounds. You can. We know that's not healthy. Your joints are not designed for that. Do you get what I'm saying? We don't want to let our political leanings or our feelings get in the way of our health. You don't want to shorten your lifespan for a fucking opinion. Do you get what I'm saying? When in reality, science is telling us that these things are not healthy. The other thing that kind of irks me that I mentioned before in my video was all the slim people who are not even overweight, who are telling people that it's fine to be overweight and that's okay. And again, when I'm talking about being overweight, I'm somebody who's been overweight most of my life and I've always felt like a fucking bad bitch. So I am not talking about your worth. I am not talking about what you should wear. I'm not talking about who's attracted to you. It's nothing to do with the aesthetic side. It's all about the health. Because as I've said before, your body, your lungs, your heart don't know about hashtag health at every size. They don't know about fat activism. All they know is that the inside of your body is not correct, it's not balanced, and there's too much food going in and it's fucking you up. So that's the angle that I'm coming from, is purely from health. And I've been that fat person who somebody's been fake concerned about my health. That doesn't mean that health and fatness are not like, you know, correlated. Just because we've been hurt in the past, just because people have been mean to us about our weight, just because people have been fake concerned about our health, doesn't mean that fatness has nothing to do with health. It still does. And I'm somebody who's really wants to be vocal about this because I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm sick of people lying and being like, oh, if I want to eat a burger, then I'm gonna eat a burger and there's nobody. It's like, no, like, or people shaming people for wanting to exercise during quarantine. Like, come the fuck on. This is the best time for everybody to be healthy. Surely a pandemic is the greatest time to get your health together. Yeah, so ignore anyone that's making obesity sound like a light-hearted lifestyle choice rather than a, you know, life-shortening death trap that it is. Number 7 is make yourself accountable. This is part of the reason why I made my Instagram page. It was because it was just somewhere for me to be accountable for my food and also my weight loss. So it's really helped me. I think one of the common threads in the fat activist, my 600-pound life, health at every size type thing is victim mentality and blaming other people for the way they make you feel, rather than taking control of the situation and taking ownership of your food choices and where it's led you to be. You hear people talking a lot about their weight rather than their eating, which is really the cause of their weight. Your weight is kind of just like the byproduct of your eating. And there is strength in taking ownership in something. There's strength in taking power and taking responsibility for something, because when you have responsibility of something, then you can change it. Whereas if you blame other people all the time, you're powerless. You know, you're relinquishing your power and you're no longer a bad bitch that can slay. Do you get what I'm saying? So I feel like taking accountability for where you are, taking stock of where you are, being realistic and being like, okay, this is where I am. I am now accountable for what I put in my body, despite how stressed I am, how upset I am, what's going on. You know, I can still be the person who decides what I put into my body. And I spent so many years not doing that. So many years being like, I'm sad, it's raining, this person's mean to me, this boy doesn't like me. I've done all of that and it hasn't got me anywhere, because food doesn't fix your life and it doesn't fix your feelings. You know, if you blame society or you blame your thyroid or you blame this other thing, you can't get to your goal weight. When you stay in reality and realize that your weight is a result of your choices, you take back your power and you can fucking go and smash it. My number 8 tip is separate facts from feelings. The fact is that being fat is not healthy, and the only way to lose weight is a calorie deficit. No matter what diet you're doing, essentially you're going to be in some sort of calorie deficit. So that is the only way to lose weight. But what I need to stress here is your worth is not dependent on your weight. And I think this is what fucks a lot of people up and what messes and sullies the conversation, is that people often associate weight with worth, and it is irrelevant. You are a fucking $100 bill. No matter if you weigh 400 pounds, 120 pounds, you're still a $100 bill. So you're not changing. Your worth is not changing. So you just want to keep the facts. And if the facts are that you're overweight, get yourself down to a healthy weight. It's the best thing that you can do for your health. It's the best thing that you can do for your life. Try not to link your worth to your weight, because when you do that, every time the scale doesn't go down when you want it to, every time you might slip up or make a mistake, or it's going to fuck with your self-esteem. What you really want to do is keep the facts of what you weigh away from your feelings, just so that you're not mixing them up and you're not fucking yourself over. You want to keep them separate. almost act like a scientist, I think. Act like a scientist who's conducting an experiment of just what happens when I do X, 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 and X, and X, and, you know, and keep Y out of it. So keep your emotions out of it. Try to just stay with the facts. Don't let the feelings come in and just fuck you up and hold you back, and work on your self-talk. Don't let your self-talk talk you out of it, or say, oh, I knew you were gonna do this, oh, you never do this, or, you know, don't talk to yourself like shit. Which leads me on to my next point, which is number 9, affirmations. Affirmations have been one of the things that have changed my life on so many different levels, but especially when it comes to weight loss. I went on Tidal and I downloaded all these affirmations from a place called Trinity Affirmations. If you type that into Tidal, they'll come up, or maybe into Google. They've been really helpful because they've got things on like motivation, persistence, all these other things. So I literally used to listen to them all through the night, all day when I went on walks. I listened to them all the time, and they were really powerful and really helpful for me. If you can't do that, or you don't have a Tidal account, what I would do is just write out affirmations like, you know, I am motivated, I am persistent, I'm consistent, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm beautiful, all these other things. Write them all down. Take your phone and make a voice note out of them, and then just listen to it as much as you can. That can also work. Tip number 10 is get therapy. Now, I know this is wild. Bear with me. I think that everybody should go to therapy. A lot of people are not very self-aware, and I think that's because they don't really sit down and reflect on themselves and their own behavior and also their own past. And these are things that can really fuck you up when it comes to weight loss, because a lot of people are eating over their trauma. They're almost trauma bonded with food, and they can't seem to get away from it. So part of letting go of the food is also working through the trauma. So I am somebody, you know, I'm a hippie ass bitch, as all my friends know, but like, I love this kind of stuff. I think that self-development is such an important part of life, and I think it's one of the gifts of life that we get to develop, and we get to change, and we get to grow, and we get to put all of our experiences back into our lives, re-sow them, replant them, and then, you know, reap that harvest of all the work that you do. So I think that therapy is something that is essential. I prioritize my therapy as a cost in my life. You know, I'm not someone with loads and loads of money, but I feel like therapy is an essential cost for me. But if you don't have that money, then I would say at the very least you should be journaling, you should be writing down your emotions, you should be having, you know, find a friend where it's mutual, if you don't want to be offloading on someone all the time, but like find a friend where it's mutual who can go a little bit deeper and you can talk, someone that you trust. Yeah, and just really start to look at your feelings and your emotions, honor your feelings, and allow them space and time, and don't just stuff them down with food, because that's something that can really, 1, fuck up a weight loss journey, and 2, fuck up your life. Tip number 11 is to practice radical self-care and self-love. Now this sounds wild, but it makes sense. A lot of people have this idea in their head that when they get to a certain weight, they're going to start behaving in a certain way, when realistically what you need to do is start to treat yourself in this great way that you're planning on treating yourself when you get to your goal from the beginning. So, you know, put on makeup, wear a pretty dress. Even, I know we've all got nowhere to go other than the living room, but even if you're just going to the living room, put on some makeup, make yourself feel good, you know, use a nice moisturizer. Just start to treat yourself well, treat yourself like a queen, treat yourself like you want, you know, your partner to treat you, or you want whoever to treat you. Treat yourself very, 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 very good, because the better you treat yourself, the better you're going to feel, and the easier it's going to be to stick to these lifestyle changes, because you're going to see yourself as valuable. It's really easy to wake up, you know, not get up early, don't have a shower maybe, or just put sweatpants on, not really care about how you look, and then go reach for a bag of crisps and overeat on them or whatever. Whereas if you've had a morning where you've gotten up early, you've put your makeup on, you're wearing a pretty dress, you feel really pretty, it then sort of all flows to have a nice, loving, healthy breakfast. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're putting yourself in the right frame of mind by practicing radical self-love. And by radical I mean it goes before all else. You know, that is the most important thing, is that you feel looked after, you feel taken care of, you feel like number 1. The other thing I would add is make sure you're moisturizing your skin twice a day. Now, what I've started doing is double moisturizing my skin to try to stop myself from having a lot of loose skin, a lot of sagging skin. When I'm in the shower, I use my body brush, I exfoliate. Once I've done that, I then, felt clean, I add this all over my body. So it's emollient liquid paraffin with white soft paraffin ointment, and that just locks in all the moisture. And then when I come out, I pat dry my skin. You don't want to rub your skin, you don't want to basically, like, don't be roughing it up, you know, you want it to kind of stay intact. So you pat your skin dry, and then you add another cream on top. I use this Centroband at the moment. It's just kind of like a fragrance-free lotion that you can put on top. And then at night, I add this Palmer's Tummy Butter. Now, it's for pregnant women. Anything like this will do, though. And I just add that to my stomach at night. So I try to moisturize twice a day just to keep my skin nice and supple, and I find that to be a really nice, loving thing to do for myself, just to always keep my skin nice and soft and moisturized, to give myself a little massage. Just be attentive to yourself, pay attention to yourself. I think a lot of the time, for a lot of us, when we've got really overweight, we've let ourselves go, but not in a way of like, oh, you don't look good, just in a way that we don't take care of ourselves sometimes. And that's not true for everyone, I know that, but for me that was the case. Okay guys, so my 12th weight loss tip is be prepared for comments. People love to talk shit. The same people who didn't say shit when you was gaining a gang of weight are the same people who are going to be talking a lot about, you know, you're not eating enough, you look too thin, you've lost enough weight now, ignore them. Now, the reason why I say this as one of my tips is it used to throw me off a lot. I would be very surprised at the reaction, especially from some of my female friends, when I would lose weight. And I think there was a deep fear there of not being liked, because people often feel very threatened when you start to do certain things and you start to try to level up. People feel threatened by that, and so they kind of try to keep you down, just because it highlights to them what they're not doing in their life. And it doesn't always mean that the person doesn't love and care about you. It just means that they're not where they want to be, so they almost don't want you to be where you need to be. And I don't think it makes people bad people, but it can really throw you. And for me, it's something that I've had to really handle and just step into being okay with people not liking me just because I want to live my highest, greatest life. So yeah, that's something to just watch out for, and always meet people with love when they're giving you that. You know, try to be whatever about it. Don't let it consume you too much, and don't let it affect you. You know, you've got your goal, stay focused to that. Okay guys, thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed my tips. I know they were a bit like, but yeah, you know me, I like to think of things mind, body and soul. I do think that weight loss is a holistic process, and I've learned over the years that it is a holistic thing. You can't just put yourself on this really rigid diet for X amount of time and use loads of willpower and then get there. No, you have to change the way you think about yourself. You have to change the way you see yourself. You have to see yourself as somebody who's determined, who's motivated, who's persistent, who can do hard things. You know, because losing weight is, I mean, it's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's not easy. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy when you don't see results straight away. It's not easy when you have to maybe miss out on things or not eat the amount that you want to eat. But you want to make it as easy as you can. If there's one thing that you take away from this video, it would be enjoy the process. The more you enjoy the process, the longer you can keep it going, which means you can get to your goal. If you don't enjoy it, you won't keep it going and you'll flop. So, and that's what I did for 6 years. I kept trying to do things that I didn't enjoy and it didn't work out for me. So yeah, I think most people are very clued up to what the physical in and out things, the practical things of losing weight. It's more the mental side that people struggle with, and also just not basing their worth on their food. You know, you guys are all fucking amazing. I'm amazing. We're all amazing. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you want to know anything else about my weight loss journey or my weight loss tips that I would advise. But yeah, thank you. Love you. Bye.